Hi everybody, this is Randy from Randy's Crafty Creations, and I want to bring to you today this card. I made this card over the weekend and I posted it on my blog and my Facebook page, and I got lots of questions on how I did it, so I wanted to go ahead and show you today how I did this card, including making the clouds in the background. So lots of supplies. It is a little more time consuming than some other cards, so be prepared to take your time and don't get frustrated. It's really not hard to do as long as you are planning to take your time. Anyhow, so the supplies that you're going to need to make this are, let me put this up here, the High Tide stamp set, okay, the Beautiful You stamp set, and all the products I used will be linked below this video so that they're easy for you to purchase by shopping on my page at randycollins.stampinup.net. You're going to need a pad of sticky notes. Actually, you just need one sticky note, but I like to stamp on the pad. You're going to need a lot of blocks. So I'm going to use my E block. I'm going to use my C block. I'm going to use my H block. I'm going to use my I block. Lots of blocks, but there's a lot of stamping too. So we're going to do that. You're going to need a blender pen. For the sand, I used crumb cake. I used wild wasabi for the grass. I used tempting turquoise for the water. I used soft sky for the sky. I used crushed curry for the sun, the black archival, and then like I said, I used soft sky for the sky. So is that, oh, and Calypso Coral is what I used for the dress. If that's the color that you want to use, that's great. If not, you know, pick a different color. I also used Brushing Blide for the flesh tone. And I did all that with my blender pen. So I will show you that in a moment. So let me go ahead and take these things off my table and we'll get started. All right. You're also going to need your Whisper White cardstock, a piece of scrap paper, and some Scotch tape. So I got everything on blocks here in front of me to make it easier for the video. I put my High Tide. We're using the sun, the sand, the birds, the water, and the grass. Okay, and then Beautiful You, we're using our dancer girl image. So the very first thing that I want to do is I want to stamp my girl so that it looks like she's wading in the water. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take some Scotch tape and I am going to tape off the water that's at her feet because I don't want that in my ocean there. So I'm just going to go ahead and tape that off before I ink her up. All right. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink her up and I'm going to stamp her on my sticky notes. And I'm going to stamp her on my Post-it notes because I want to be able to cut her into a stencil. And I use the Post-it notes so that there's a little bit of sticky. This arm is sticky. So position your Post-it note in such a way that part of your design will have some sticky on it so that it will stick to the cardstock. All right. So the very first thing we do is stamp her on our sticky note. So let me go ahead and do that for you. Let me ink her up. So you're going to ink her up. Okay. And before you stamp, you'll pull the Scotch tape off. Okay, so that you get that nice clean impression without the water at the bottom. So let me go ahead and do that. All right. So then I have this perfect image that I can go ahead and cut to make a mask out of. All right, I'm going to put my tape on again so that you can either put your tape on again or you can get new tape. All depends on how messy or how neat you are. Usually pretty messy, so actually I will go ahead and throw that away and get myself new tape. All right, so we're going to go ahead and tape off the water again, because this time we're going to stamp on our Whisper White, and we don't want the black ink on our Whisper White. All right, so let me move my sticky notes. We're going to pretend I would cut her, but I've already done that. Let me go ahead and move her aside because I need her in a little bit. All right. Since this is a red rubber stamp, I don't need my Stampin' Pierce mat. I'm going to stamp right on my my table here. I have my scrap paper out already because we're going to need that when we start to do the sand and the water. All right, so let's go ahead and ink her up. And I like to ink my stamps, not stamp my ink, so that I have a nice clean inking on it with no mess. All right. I am going to stamp her right in the middle-ish. And that's going to determine how I'm going to do my background. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp her. Okay. Nice. All right. So let me go ahead and put that aside. I'm now going to go ahead and I'm going to take, let that dry for a second. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my mask and I'm going to lay my mask over top of her. But before I'm going to let her dry a little bit. I use the archival ink, so it takes just a little bit longer to dry. So while I'm waiting, I will start with my crumb cake. So let me go ahead and open my crumb cake. Sorry, let me move her. Okay, let me go ahead and start with my crumb cake. All right, so I have my, sorry, I just stuck my stamps on here so I wouldn't lose them. I have my sand stamp from the lighthouse positioned off of my block. I really only want to use this. I don't want to accidentally ink this up. I don't want to accidentally use this part because I don't want that cut out from the lighthouse in there. So it's just a helpful reminder to me to not use it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to haphazardly put some sand on my picture here because we're creating a background. And I'm just going to keep going back and forth in my ink. And I'm going to put on my sand the way I think I like my sand to look. That's totally up to you. You can make it more even. You can make it more haphazard. It's totally up to you. I wanted some hills and valleys, so I made mine that way. I didn't want the solid image, and I'll show you how we're going to stamp around that when we start doing our water. I think that's good. I like that sand. All right, so let me go ahead, and I'm just going to put that over there because I have to clean, and I'm going to go ahead and stick my water on there because that's going to be next. And before I do my water, I definitely want to make sure that I put my mask on. And the archival ink takes a little bit longer to dry than the dye ink, and that's why I just wanted to wait. So I'm going to go ahead and put my mask on. I'm just going to make sure I stick it right in there. Okay, like I said, her hand is sticky. So there we go. All right, so now she's going to stay. I don't have to worry about it. All right, so I've got my water on here. I'm going to put it in my Tempting Turquoise. And I'm going to start with this area right underneath her feet. And I'm going to look at it, and it looks like it actually falls in line with my sand. I don't want my water to overlap my sand because I want it to look like it's in the distance. So let me go ahead and stamp there. Now I am going to push a little bit harder because I need to bring my Stampin' Pierce mat back in because these are our clear photopolymer stamps. Nice. Okay, yes, my mask came up, but that doesn't matter. I can put it right back down. That's just because I was pushing hard. Okay. Nice. Let me get my Stampin' Pierce mat for the rest of my photopolymer work. Pause. Okay. All right, let me ink this up again. I had it this way. Let me ink this up again. All right, and I'm going to go off to the side. Now, I don't want the water to go up, but I don't know if you can see. When I look through my photopolymer stamp, this portion right here looks like it's going to cover my sand. So I'm going to grab my wipe real quick. And I want to wipe off from here over. Because I want to be sure that it doesn't look like my water is going into my sand. But I want to keep that water line straight. Nice. And I could use a little bit of water in there. So I'm just going to ink up a very little bit of my stamp. And that's what I like about the clear photopolymer stamps is you can see what you're doing. So I can put water just in those spots. Let me clean the rest of this off real quick. There. Perfect. See, I just added a little bit of water right there. All right, let me go ahead and ink this up again. I'm going to go back to the other side. And let's see where we're at. So if I put that there, I need to get rid of ink from here over. You think that's about right? It looks like it. Right there. I really wanted to keep that line. So see, I took my time. I looked through it. There is some area right here that could use a little bit of water. So let me see what I can do with that without ruining anything. Patience. This just takes some patience. So I'm just going to ink this up right here. I'm just inking up that little bit right there. And let's see if that is good or if it ruins everything I've done. Perfect. There we go. See, I just put it in there. So I've got my sand, I've got my water. All right, let me set this one aside. I'll stick my other stamp back to that again, just so that they're there when I go to clean them off. All right, I am now going to let me put my Tempting Turquoise away, because that's my water. So I'm now going to go ahead and do my Wild Wasabi. I'm going to go ahead and put my grass in there. And like I said, this one uses a lot of technique, so it's going to be one of my longer videos, and I apologize, but I wanted to go as detailed as possible because I had a lot of questions yesterday. So now I'm going to go ahead and ink up my grass, and I'm just going to put it in where I think I want it on my sand dunes here. Ink just the tops because I want it to be off my paper some. Okay, there's also, so that's the double grass piece. There is also, so I don't lose my stamps, I stick them to my blocks that I've already used, that I'm done with, so I can clean everything. I use my Stampin' Scrub later when I'm done, just because I don't want to lose my mojo while making this. So I think I'm good on the grass blades. I really do. So let me go ahead and stick that to my block. So see my block with my girl. I've got my little pieces stuck to it just so I can clean it all up later and I don't lose anything. I was going crazy last week. I lost a saying stamp from my Beautiful You set. Couldn't find it anywhere. It probably fell in the trash can. But it was one of those things that I guess I just wasn't careful and I didn't stick it to my block. So I'm trying to be really cautious now. All right. We're going to go ahead and stamp our sun next, then our birds, and then we're going to ink our background. All right. So there is a sun image in your High Tide stamp set. It's right here. I'm going to put it in my crushed curry. Okay. I'm going to stamp it off on my paper. And then I'm going to stamp it at an angle in the corner. I just wanted a little sunshine. I didn't want it to be very predominant, so I just did that. All right. Very good. So let us go ahead now and do the birds. So I'm going to do this whole Scotch tape thing again. I just want these 3 birds right here. So I'm going to tape this off. Let me get a piece of tape. And I'm just going to tape those just like that. All right, I'm only going to ink up those 3 little birds. I just really want the 3 little ones that are in the distance. And I probably won't even get the tape dirty, but just to be sure, I'm going to put the tape on. And I didn't, but that's okay. All right, and I'm going to stamp those birds up in that corner. Okay, now you can see I didn't get them good enough. And that's okay, because these are our clear stamps. And it's probably because I'm using a block that's too big. And I had the camera in my sight. So give me 1 second to fix that. All right, great. So I ruined that, but that's okay. You know what? We're going to keep going. All right. We're going to keep going. That was totally my fault. It's on a block that's too big. This should really be on your H block versus your I. But I had all this other stuff on my H block. But that's okay. You can see what we're doing. So we're just going to keep going. All right. I am going to get my Soft Sky. And that's got to dry for a second. So let's go ahead and get my templates. Let's talk about my template for a second while that ink dries. So I have this template. I have no idea where I got it from. It's on a piece of transparency. I've had it for years. But this is what I'm going to use to do my ink blending to make my clouds. So what I'll do is I'll place it on my card. I'll get my blending tool. We have sponge daubers in the catalog. I like this one from Ranger because it's got a handle on it, and it works best for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my Soft Sky. All right, and I'm going to tap my blending tool or my dauber in there. I'm going to hold this down real good, and I'm just going to ink it. Now I normally start from the top. My birds aren't quite dry yet. So let me go ahead and just work over here. And I just use my tool to ink around to get my clouds. Okay, so there's some clouds there. Make sure there's no ink. Okay. And then I'm going to move my paper over just a little bit, my transparency, because I don't want the clouds to mirror each other, because, you know, clouds are all different in the sky. And I'm just going to keep using that tool. And like I said, that wasn't dry, so now I'm spreading a little bit of black. But that's okay. Like I said, you're getting the gist of making the card, which is what I wanted to do in this video, was to show you the technique that I used. So spend a little time making sure your black is dry before you keep going. And you've seen the finished product, so you know what it's supposed to look like. All right, and let's do one more right about here. And see my stencil staying down because I used a Post-it note. So there we've got our clouds. We have our template, and it just, the ink, because it's dye-based ink, it just comes off with a wipe. Just like that. So then you can put it away for next time. I've still got my dauber. It's nice and clean. There isn't, there's a little bit of black right here, but I'll get that off. I'm not worried about that. All right, so let's go ahead and close up our Soft Sky. All right, so we have those. All right, so now we need to color her in. So now I will take the Post-it note template off, and that I'll just store in my stamp case with Beautiful You. The other pieces that are in this stamp set are pieces for her skirt. So if we're using this image, we would use the bigger piece for her dress. But since we're using this image, this smaller piece fits right in just like that. Okay, and that's what we're going to use with our Calypso Coral. And I know I have a smaller block. There's my smaller block. All right, so I'm going to get that. I'm going to ink that up. And I'm just going to go ahead and you're going to get this watercolor look, so it's not going to be completely covered in. The smaller part goes right at her waist, and it goes in at an angle. Okay, so I'm going to stamp in her dress there. Let me move this to the side. Like I said, I have this huge mess I have to clean up now. But anyhow, okay, so how did I get her hat and her shirt? All right, so our blender pens. if you take our Stampin' Up! Ink while it's closed and squeeze it, some ink will pop up in the lid. Okay, you can tell I do this a lot. Now I'm going to use my pen. I'm going to use the side that I've already used coral on. I'm going to take my pen. I'm going to rub it in my ink, and you can get as much or as little as you want to go as light or as dark as you want. So I'm going to start off a little bit light. I'm going to do her hat. Okay, and I actually really want that darker, so I'm going to go more towards the middle where I have more color. I'm going to pull more color in. Okay, this is how our blender pens work. I'm going to do the same thing for her shirt. I'm going to go over her crease lines a little bit. On the outside, okay, and then I want it lighter on the inside. So now that my pen has less ink, I'm going to pull my color out a little bit because I want it lighter on the inside and darker on the outside. And you can keep going back and forth. Our blender pens are filled with blending solution that makes it so that your ink pads you can color with. I just clean it off on my hand or I wipe it off on my paper, but as you can see, it starts to run clear, and then you can go ahead and go into another color. Now, I have this watercolor effect here. I didn't care for the fact that her dress still had white underneath on my card, so I just went ahead and lightly stuck in some more color, and you can do that. So the blender pens we sell in a pack of 3 on my site. Again, I'll have everything linked below. They come in a pack of 3. I've been using the same blender pen for a while. I don't know how much solution is in it, but it's a lot because I just keep using it. So that's all I'm going to do with the Calypso Coral. And now my pen has run clear. So now I'm going to go ahead and put another color in it. And I am going to use the Blushing Bride. And I'm using the Blushing Bride for her arms and her legs for the flesh tone. So I got some in there. And I use this very, very light. Very light. I just want a little bit of flesh color. I don't want pink. I just want a little bit of color. Just a little bit. So I just do very little. A little bit on her foot down here. Awesome. Wipe that off again. It runs clear. So I'm ready to go ahead and put it in another color if I had another color to put it in. So anyhow, that is how I made this card. Sorry, that's my to-do list this week. Anyhow, so I just wanted to share that with you. That's how I made that. So again, thank you for watching. Starting June 1st, we are coming out with a new catalog. If you go on my site, randycollins.stampinup.net, and place an order, I'll be happy to send a catalog to you so that you have it by June 1st. June 1st, the link will be posted on my page. There are some fabulous new things in the catalog. Thankfully, this set is carrying over High Tide and Beautiful You. I'm very excited because I like to use them both. Now is also a great time to join my team. If you join my team at randycollins.stampinup.net, and then you just click Join My Team, you can choose from some of the pre-order items that we were able to choose from to add to your kit, or you can just go ahead and choose from the new catalog if you wait till June 1st to add to your kit. Totally up to you. You don't have to sell anything. You can join my team, get $125 worth of product that you choose for $99, and then you just get your 20% off discount. So you can shop from yourself, 20% off discount all year. It's great. So it's a wonderful time to join. It's a wonderful company to join with. The fact that you can pick your products for your kit totally makes it worth it if you don't want to do this as a business, if you just want to do this as a hobby. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at randycollins.gmail.com. And again, all this will be linked below the information in this video. So if you have any questions, please ask. I'll be happy to help you. So again, I'm Randy from Randy's Crafty Creations. Thanks for watching and have a great day.